Good morning and good day, dear participants of Georgia Youth Business Cup 2019. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again, and hopefully we're going to have some good work today done as well as during previous days. Now, let's take a look and see what is the rating for today looks like and what kind of results were achieved during yesterday, shall we? Okay, so as we can see, at the moment, the current position compared to yesterday didn't change much. We still have the main top 3 players here, top 5 I believe as well. Yes, well no, actually we'll have a new player in position 5. So currently it's obvious that at the moment, even though the first position of the leader looks quite promising, but we can also see that in profit per turn perspective, eMarket is kind of losing their position slowly there, because Citinoza is gaining quite obviously quite a lot, and the same goes regarding their revenue per turn. So last recalculation, as we can see, brought us some quite interesting surprises, and well, if you remember what I said yesterday, that's exactly because certain companies have a better developed structure at the moment. So even though eMarket is a very well defined, a very well interesting structure, they still kind of are staying in Spain. Well, the idea is I will go through once again how to create and open up a new business unit. All right, just in case you missed that. But in their case, I would be focusing on foreign markets as well as maybe going over various industries, because no matter how you want it, you ever have to cover the whole country of stores. It's also a strategy, it's also a possibility, but or at this point you can try and explore other countries as well, like for example the Citinoza Incorporated did. So at the moment, these guys are both in Germany, United States, and if we look at the first place, which is Cholacava, we can see that these guys moved also to Brazil. So they're in Spain, US, and also in Brazil. So gaining on well, definitely not losing their positions and looking forward to develop various business units. So back once again, it's a good idea to focus on retail. It's not a problem in this case, but I would say that specifically in this situation, then you need to scale it up even more, because if we compare to the, for example, the winner probably in overall returns and overall revenue and profit, specifically Citinoza, we could see that they have not only stores but also have, well, retail service, specifically auto repair shops, and they already have 3 of them, 2 different specializations there. So they're covering all the markets they're in, and also they have plenty of stores. And I see that they're, well, as well as developing their stores as well, and they have pretty good combination of goods as well. So at this point, it's quite obvious that they have. The size is also important, and I think we see one of the biggest stores so far, because we're talking about 4,000 square meters at the moment. Well, yeah, at the same time, we can see that these stores are noticeably smaller. Sure, we have to take in consideration the size of the cities they're in, and this is Hamburg, pretty decent big city, so that's quite understandable. So it is obvious that the bigger is the store, the more the bigger, the more people can come into your store, right? The flow of visitors will be bigger. As a result, if you have a good product line, we're considering also good proposition regarding the quality and price of those products, definitely that turns out to be quite, well, profitable regarding the huge revenue as well as profit per turn. So naturally, if we look at the current third place holder, we can also see that this company is probably even bigger at some point, because we can see also some kindergartens, some fitness centers, auto repair shops, right? Even numbering already is coming in, because this is a pretty decent and big company. Also, as we can see, they're also not letting off the manufacturing or production part, because they started producing gifts, as you can see. So gifts and souvenirs. Well, hopefully that will work out. So at the moment, it is quite obvious that a better diversified and company structure has more chances to succeed, because if you fail in one of industries, you can still try out your try your luck in other industries as well. So not only retail, but also retail services, different type of services as well, and also the production as well. So this is a very interesting and good looking structure as well. So I think it would be difficult to say who will be leading in the end, because at the moment we can see that both. I'm afraid if eMarket won't change their strategy, they will lose first place. So this is my probably a thought of the day at the moment, the way I see the way it's progressing, especially considering the second and the third place holders, because their, let's say, overall results are quite impressive, and it is obvious that they're, obviously have at this point a little bit better results compared to eMarket, at least at this point. So I guess I would recommend for eMarket to really consider possibly scaling up their retail network and opening new stores, buying new goods, and so on and so forth. Even though you are at the moment in the lead, but trust me, with this kind of results, you will lose that. You will lose that position, and even though I think you will definitely be in top 30, and I will see you live in Tbilisi next week. But I think this is a great opportunity to think through and try out various things, because you will definitely need that during the finals. Also, there were a lot of questions regarding, I'm getting various questions regarding the second stage of the championship that will be happening in Tbilisi. So I can say that this is going to be an intensive simulation. There's going to be one recalculation per hour. So the world will be smaller. There will be a little bit less industries and products, but obviously the time that you will have will also be noticeably less. So once again, very similar. You will have 7 recalculations to develop your company into something that hopefully will work. Now, so at this point, even if you end up in top 30, that's great. But what the first stage will only give you is an opportunity to participate in the finals, right? So that is great. But also remember that what is your main takeout is that you have an opportunity to test various theories and as well as hypotheses, and focus on developing your skills, the ones you will use, or your strategies as well, the ones you will try to use during the finals. So this is your main takeout towards the finals. All right, so let's see GBT Incorporated as well, and also let's see who pushed out SS Corporation from the 5th place, shall we? So GBT Incorporated, now they started moving towards Rome. All right, this is okay. And one thing, and probably a recommendation for others, and if you didn't look very carefully at the competitors here, so I'll take you. I mean, you can see that you can access your rating from your own interface, but at the same time, you can also take a look what kind of sales products they're selling. And at this point, I would recommend to consider to increase the amount of goods you're selling, because at the moment you're selling only 3 different goods, and this is kind of wasted because the more goods you have, well, not exactly just that it's quantity that is important. A well-balanced product line is important, but having only 3 products in that kind of store is not exactly efficient way to use, let's say, or invest money. So having a better product line would be better in this case. The same goes for the store in Rome. So, but I see there's an interesting setup here, so hopefully it will work out and you will develop it later on. Either way, look, you're making profit, which is great, and I think this is quite essential. But if you want to, kind of bite these guys, then we will have to try a little bit harder. All right. Okay. Now the company, let's call them 809. All right. So we can see that this is probably not the biggest, but the most diverse product line I've seen so far within this game. So this is, I mean, there are a lot of goods. It's a good idea to a certain extent, but also take into consideration that you will require a lot of time to manage this kind of product line because you will have to go through every single of these products to arrange the supply chain and so on and so forth. So, all right, that's an interesting one. Okay, so this is, we can see a very clear car shop probably, and some of the computers and stuff here as well as 3 restaurants already. So, okay, that might work out. You have more restaurants than you have stores, which is also a good line because restaurants actually, if you consider this kind of a store and compare with restaurant, then you will see that the time needed, physical time, real time needed to arrange operational activities in this kind of restaurant takes noticeably less time compared to a store like that. And finally, where are we with SS Corporation? So we can see that this is actually also an interesting setup. Oh, even manufacturing car repair equipment factory. Okay, that's interesting choice. All right. So we can also see some stores and auto repair shops. Being self-sufficient is actually a good idea. In a long term, especially because you're manufacturing the equipment that you use. Makes sense. Just that you won't be using it that much. Although, if we look at the other competitors, we'll also see that they also have some decent amount of auto repair shops. So at this point, having possible partners is a good insight. That's nice. That's a really good idea. I see. So I see also that the whole business regarding the medical institutions or medical centers also working out, and hopefully this looks good. So at this point, I would recommend looking into your let's see, into your expenses, reviewing them, because at the moment the way we see that you've got 8 million revenue, but you have only 2.5 million profit, which is less than 50. So compared to other competitors, you're lacking behind a bit. So it's probably, well, sure, if you're investing, that's understandable, but trying to maximize the profit with the current amount of time should be something you should be focusing on. All right, but either way, you're definitely going to be in top 10 so far if you keep this up. So yeah, I'll definitely will see you in Georgia as well. All right, so I see that there are companies that are steadily climbing up. We can see less and less red numbers if we compare to the previous turn. So I could see more red numbers here. And if we go back to the latest results, we can see that the amount of numbers is slightly smaller. At least to a certain extent. All right. Let me see. So this is something that is happening little by little. All right. So probably a pretty fresh restaurant. So that's why Company Lin has a small small minus, at least for last week. So hopefully you will be able to work with this and work it out. All right, so at this point, we can see that everything looks good to a certain extent. I would recommend to look into your, let's say, expenses and trying to balance out your expenses as well as to see where are you lacking regarding your revenue. Because if you have your price set up properly and your margin is okay and you have decent revenue, you will start getting profits. All right, so the question is, where are your issues and what you should be improving? Now, once again, another important part is to look into your company and then reports. So this is something that you can go into and track various things regarding your financial results. So you can see revenues, expenses, profit, and the taxes that you're being paying, as well as you can see all the weeks, so all the progress you generated previously, as well as you can see your cash and debts if you have them, and some expense structure. Also, where are you expending most? Maybe you can optimize something. You can also see your asset structure of your whole company, and definitely if you go into a specific company, a specific subdivision, for example, if we come back to and we go to the store, what we shall see in this specific situation is that we go to financial reports, and this is where we can see the financial reports of the company, specifically the one that of this subdivision of the company. So in this case, we can go and literally see what kind of, for example, we can see the sales by product, we can track, we can see how overall you look like in this specific situation, right? So we can see what are you selling most in this situation. Also, there is a possibility to see financial reports in a little bit different manner. For example, income statement. This is probably someone who's more familiar with accounting. You will see it more familiar or more useful. And every format has its own specific use, or the way of use, the way to gather information and have some insights. By products, you can also see what you're selling, what are your good products, which are profitable or not, and then also check your purchases if you have any. Well, I don't have any, so no purchases here. Either way, I would strongly recommend to review also the recommendations by the system. Now, look, I had a couple of questions yesterday. The system will generate a certain recommendation that, or a topic you should be looking into. All right? Doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. It's just telling you something that you might or should consider. For example, there was a question regarding there was a recommendation to close down the part of the store that was selling a different kind of good. For example, if you're selling, as you can see, clothes and accessories, and then go to sell, for example, one product from the drugstore with the medicines, right, and only one product, you have to understand that you're opening a new part of the store specifically to sell the medicine. Now, if you have there only one product, it's not very efficient. So either you have to simply close it down, or it would be more recommended to add more products at this point to develop better a specific category that you're specializing in within your stores. So in this case, it's better to have less different categories, but a better have less but better developed product lines from a specific category. So in this case, that would be more efficient. Also, don't forget that if you are buying from, let's say, from one of the players, or you're looking forward to purchase from real players, and the difference between the real players and independent suppliers is that real players, as you make orders, you have to take in consideration that in this In this specific situation, there's always a threat that a specific real player might actually run out of the goods. Like in this situation, here's a pretty dangerous moment, and he or she can actually change the price or make a mistake, and their quality might drop of the product. So that's why if you're putting up a contract, remember the additional terms, because they, if the seller will decide to raise, he or she will see your order and decides to raise the price because you started buying from him or her, and that specific order, or that increase in price will exceed 10% by default. This is what is set up. The contract during error calculation will be cancelled. So that means you will not get your production, and in case if it's manufacturing or in sales, you will be losing time. So either you disable it as never, or you allow the fluctuation to be bigger, or you can change the specific price, the maximum price you would be willing to pay for this specific product. Also, there's a possibility to set a limiter on a safety trigger on the quality as well. I'll make it a one-time purchase, or choose independent supplier because they're always there with a stable price, with a stable quality, no changes unless there's also only a limitation on the amount of production they will be selling. So in this case, be aware of that. Once again, be sure to check out the market info, especially, for example, certain situations like here. We can see certain city averages, but that will not necessarily mean we see all the info here. So if we click once again on a specific product and we get into the market reports, we can see the competitors, and then we can see a little bit more clearly what's going on. So we can see that local suppliers still own majority of the city market, but also, as you can see, because other sellers are coming in, the minimum that local suppliers are selling, and these are computer generated, is beginning to rise. So which means, due to the real players in this city, the local suppliers as well as demand is beginning to change, and there's a certain dynamic within the market being developed. And also in a long term, if the participants of I would say our COP and others will start to invest into the city more, and you would see that even the market volume would begin to change. So in this specific situation, we can see that I can see all these participants are here, and we can see the combinations of quality and price, and what works and what doesn't. So here's an interesting insight. Cholokava is in a city center with the biggest store, has the biggest sales, naturally, because it's the biggest store one. And also, if we look at quality and price combination, they're literally surpassing e-market, because even though they're in trendy neighborhood, but they have A, higher quality, and B, lower price. So in this case, and in the place of e-market, I should be looking into this, either buying higher quality of goods, which I guess you have chance to find on the market, or lowering the price. But in this situation, considering you're in trendy neighborhood, I consider raising the quality and buying more goods of higher quality, because this is, as you can see, Cholokava, they are literally have the leading position. Now, the problem here is that the market is pretty small, so it's difficult to compete at this point. But if the city would be bigger, I think we would see that the more sales would be happening in this specific store. Maybe increasing the store size would also provide more sales opportunities, considering that still it's around 3,000 and you're doing only your sales around 200 at the best. So having bigger sales size, the store size, would give you more opportunities. That would something I would definitely recommend trying out. All right, so at this point, this is something that you should do with all the products that you have in your product line. Gather information once again, going into any kind of report will allow you to have more data on a specific good and also see what kind of competition is out there, and do you have a chance to compete or not. And at this point, maybe there's a need to change your combination of marketing piece, try out a different marketing mix, and see how it goes. Because once again, different combinations work for different cities, but also due to, as we can see here, due to the actions of other participants, you might need to readjust your strategy and change it and think through what you could do differently in order to increase your sales, to increase your chances, and try out other things. Or maybe if you want to enter this market, maybe it's a good opportunity. Though it is, there are already 5 players here, but if you find your niche with the proper size of the store, you might have good profits here as well, and you might bite off a bigger share of the market as is. All right, so coming back to the enterprises, once again, if you want to open a new store in the new country, go to create a subdivision, open an office, continue, and then choose a country you want to open your your office in, depending on where you want, into what country you want to develop your business. And at this point, then afterwards, you can open new subdivisions in that specific country or region. For example, we can go to, Brazil, for example. You can choose Central Western Brazil, and we can see the cities here right away: 3.2 million and 1.5 million. If you want something better, maybe then going to northeast Brazil is a possibility. Yes, we can see São Luís, Salvador. So we can see different cities here with their population in thousands, as well as average city salary. But for example, if we want to find also the best, most richest cities, also not the one, so that's probably the southeast Brazil, and this is where we can see São Paulo, the biggest city within Brazil. And if you want to concentrate your money here, definitely a good choice. Also Rio de Janeiro, which is also 70 million. So if you made a choice, great, then let's do it, for example, here. But let's choose some place where we can open an office that is cheaper, and then you can start developing your business in Brazil already. But when you open an office, don't forget to hire employees and buy computers for them later on. So in this case, that's easy. And now if you go to create subdivision, you can go into a store, open a store, go to Brazil or Spain, because we have 2 offices there, and there we go. This is the region of the country we chose by opening an office in a specific region of the country. And in Sao Paulo, we are going to open a new store. There we go. So this is something just a reminder to those who haven't done that, haven't expanded your let's say scale of operations into foreign countries before, because that is definitely recommended, considering not only overall competition, but also what is waiting for you in the second and the final stage of the cup. So once again, this is a great working business structure, but do consider the opportunity to develop new business units, or even if not in the same industry, you want to stay in retail trade, which is great, but then going into foreign countries, not only staying in Spain, would be recommended. just give it a try to maximize your gains and profit, because now all you need to do is to stay in top 30. Even if you don't generate that much of a profit right off the bat, not a problem. Just stay to try. Well, you have to generate profit in this case, just that it doesn't have to be that big. All you need to do is to stay in those top 30 in order to proceed. But in order to win the second stage, you will have to be focusing on maximizing your profits at this point. So definitely generated decent revenue and then going up to generate a lot of profits. So I have a slight nudge that probably I will see these guys in the second stage as well. Either way, it's a pleasure to be here once again with you, and it's a pleasure to see really good results, and hopefully we will be going over them as well, even to see, well, we'll be able to see new results later on tomorrow, and also by the end of the week we will get the final results, and on the Saturday we'll be listing the final results of stage 1, and definitely will be announcing the main list of companies that will be proceeding towards the second stage. So I wish you luck, and as well as cunningness, and as well as being able to grit and not let go, and try to implement your strategies during the well, let's see. It's today, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so we have 4 more days when you can do something. So focus on developing on your company, and if you're already in top 30 and you think you're pretty secure in your position, try to use this an opportunity to develop your skills, and try to this as opportunity to develop various strategies and to have a better grasp on the simulation, as well as think through what you will be doing, because during the finals the competition will be a lot more fierce, and there will be definitely less countries and cities to do your business, so you have to think through and simply be ready for that as well. Well then, thank you and good luck. See you tomorrow.